Socratic seminar this morning about the Macbeth play that we read, just as a kind of a good way to summarize the unit and have an opportunity to demonstrate your understanding of the text and deepen each other's learning through dialogue rather than debate. So just to focus our attention to the board, our learning target for this protocol is to show that you can use textual evidence to support your inferences and claims about Macbeth. Obviously, throughout this unit, we've had other learning goals, including, being able to closely read and analytically read a work of drama. But specifically in today's lesson, we'll focus on using the text to support your ideas. Okay, and then keys to success. Just a reminder. Clear, coherent communication. So think about, we project louder and more clearly when you have good body language. Active listening, if you need to jot down things that people say so that when the ball comes to you and you have an opportunity to talk, you remember what your idea was. And then I've put down meaningful participation. Okay, so just remembering that this is an opportunity to engage each other in a dialogue, and that every contribution to the conversation is valid and important and will be respected. But to think about, what can I say? How can I communicate my ideas and kind of deepen everybody's understanding so that my participation isn't just surface level but more meaningful. Okay. Okay, teach.
Are we all reading up questions first?
Yeah.
So, how do you think Banquo would have reacted to Macbeth's power if he would have listened?
Okay. My question was, analyze the role of consequences in the play.
How would you think the play would have changed if Macbeth had not killed Duncan?
Okay. Go ahead, Brian.
Don't be shy, Brian.
I forgot which one was mine.
Don't be shy, Brian.
I think yours was about the tone.
Tony? No, that was mine.
Oh, that was, sorry. I was trying to steal your question.
Was it this one?
I think it's the second one.
Yeah, go with it.
Analyze how Macbeth's behavior changes from the beginning to the end of the play.
Okay.
Mine was explain Lady Macbeth's tone towards Macbeth.
Okay.
And mine was speculate if Macbeth was ever in charge of his own fate.
That's a good one. Vanessa, what was yours?
Compare and contrast Banquo and Macbeth. And the question we are going to start with is Brian's. Can you
Okay.
read it again?
Analyze how Macbeth's behavior changes from the beginning to the end of the play.
So, at the beginning, he was when he thought he was at battle or whatever, he was.
Go down a little bit, just so the camera can see you.
So he was excited because he was in battle and all that, and then he thought he was staying in Cawdor and he wasn't gonna kill the king. He decided, he was gonna be loyal, but then when he did, he got more paranoid and he I don't know where it was, but right after he killed him, he got so he saw Duncan again, even though he was dead, so it kind of freaked him out. But getting more and more paranoid.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he was more moral, like a knight, and then by the end he went crazy. Yeah.
I agree. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of an interesting conversation about whether his morals really change. But I think the biggest factor that changed or influenced his behavior from the beginning to the end is the pressure. Because in the beginning, he didn't have any real pressure from his wife necessarily. He didn't have the pressure of like being kind of power hungry. Like there was nothing that was kind of pushing him in any direction. So he had the space to think more clearly, and so it was more like, you know, it seemed like he was more true to himself. And then as the pressure started to like amount onto him, and he had his wife in his ear, like manipulating him and pressuring him, and then, you know, the course of action after like the things that he did, it was like his world just kind of started to close in on him. And, you know, when you put pressure on somebody, they crack. And so, yeah, he started to kind of go crazy in the end, and I think it was the amount of pressure that he had on him. Anyone want to add? New question?
Oh, sure. Next question. Number 3, Carlos's question. Speculate if Macbeth was ever in charge of his own fate. And what else is it?
No. I don't think he was. I feel like this whole story is basically a puppet show put on by the witches, mostly because that's basically their whole role in this story, is to show up and manipulate people subconsciously to making them do these crazy, ridiculous things. And I think it's really cool. It's like a second story. You can pay attention.
I don't agree with all of it. I think that you can be, like, your fate can be changed, but I don't think that you're never in charge of it. Because, like, he didn't have to, like, the witches were saying he was gonna be the king, but he wasn't. He didn't stay. The king decided that the next king was gonna be his son, so that wasn't his fate then, but he changed it as in, he decided because he thought he was supposed to, that he was gonna make himself king. But that doesn't mean that was his fate, because his fate was actually to be King Cawdor, because that man was disloyal. So he kind of changed it by killing him. So.
Well, I think I'd have to say I agree that, like, the underlying point of this story is that he was trying to control his own destiny. So maybe fate did have a part, but at every step along the way, he was trying to, like, interfere with it and change the course of fate.
He's in
So,
charge of his own fate because he just lets people push him around. Like, you're in charge of it until you change your mind or somebody changes your mind or something. Because, like, you got to control your own body or whatever, all the actions you do, I guess, but yeah, people can change your mind.
Well, I think his wife changed his fate because his wife ran everything, pressured him into agreements, caused actions. So his wife was the one that was changing his fate in his favor.
That was in Act 1, Scene 7, that, where you're talking about when she,
what page number? 344.
344, yeah,
Okay.
where he was like, we will proceed no further in this business, and then she's like, basically saying, you have no courage, you're not even a man, like, that.
So she's of course being, like, really manipulative. I marked that page too.
Yeah.
Like she says, what was it that made you break this enterprise to me? You know, it's like, even though we're talking about really serious business here, whether or not he's gonna kill not just someone, but his king, okay? So
Yeah.
not just murder, but treason at this time period. Like, treason is, a behavior worse than murder. And she's using her power and influence over her husband to manipulate his feelings towards it. But I think it's interesting what you guys said, because I was thinking, like, okay, so if the play had gone differently and, like, Macbeth was found out in the end and, like, let's say he went to trial or something, I wonder what would have been Lady Macbeth's consequence, or like what would have been her role? Would he have taken all the blame because his hands physically did the act, like Carlos is saying? Like, you're in charge of your own physical behavior. But on the other hand, it was Lady Macbeth who like determined how this was gonna go, and he was kind of just her puppet. So I wonder if this was, you know, like a real life situation that was played out, would Lady Macbeth be at all responsible for the behaviors? What do you guys think?
I think she definitely would be responsible for the behaviors, but she would never be accused, at least not properly, because of that, you know, it was all secret. And so the only other person, so as far as anyone else knows, she wouldn't have probably done anything about it.
So like
Well,
ethically responsible, but maybe not held accountable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But she kind of, well, like, he didn't get punished, but he kind of did because it screwed up his mind. So it kind of, but because she basically, didn't she kill herself? At the end?
Mhm.
Yeah, so she kind of held herself accountable because she couldn't deal with what she had done.
Right. In the end, even though she controls the tone, in the end, they both pay the price for
Yeah.
what they've done to themselves. But I don't know, we still kind of go back to that initial question, like, was Macbeth just along for the ride and just doing what all these other women really kind of like pushed him into, whether it was the witches or his wife, right?
His
Like,
own girl.
Yeah,
Call him out.
exactly.
Call him out for not being a man.
yeah, or in the end, should he have just like stood up and been like, get off my back, I am a man and I'm not gonna do what you tell me to.
A real man doesn't get pushed out like that.
Yeah,
Kind of.
yeah. Interesting, I never thought
Totally
about
some
that.
tough warrior guy.
Ryan, you got anything to add, or should we move on?
Yes, you move on.
Okay, okay, B.
Let's cover it.
Next question. How would the story be different if Macbeth had not heard the prophecies? You learn on it today.
Yeah, he like you said, he was under pressure. He wouldn't have had that pressure, so maybe he would have just like been the what was it?
Thane of Cawdor.
Yeah, and just like lived happily ever after or something.
He would have never killed Banquo, or would he killed him? Which one was he? Banquo. He would have never killed him. So then, I mean, he would have never. He would have never like gone up the next step to become king.
Everything would be fine. I feel like everything would have been fine, you know, because everything was running its course just smoothly until the witch came up and prophesied that he would be all this stuff, and then he started to strategize to be all this stuff, you know. He wouldn't have killed Banquo, which was a close friend of his. He wouldn't have killed Duncan, his own king, and him and his wife would still have their marbles and their lives.
But what was I saying? What did you say again?
Everything would have been fine.
Oh yeah, it's good. I think the witches set him up with like promises of power and all that stuff. So that influenced him to do that kind of stuff, as in killing